Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jared Rand, and welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Tuesday, January 10th, 2023, after 3 p.m. Eastern. Tomorrow night, Wednesday night, we're going to have a really big show, as Ed Sullivan would say. We carry a lot of stored up emotion. It's like you have a garage, or a lot of people across the country have garages, but they don't use them for vehicles. They use them to put stuff. And it's just like us, these vessels. We collect things. And it doesn't, and it's interesting because it's not like we do it intentionally. We just collect emotions, things that have happened to us, things that we've experienced, things that we've viewed, and these emotions are stored. And as we go along, we get heavier. We don't really know why, but we do get heavier. And these emotions are trapped inside our subconscious, waiting to be released. And you begin to understand that all real, everlasting healing happens from the inside out. Whenever we have an emotional trauma that stores anger, sadness, grief, shame, or any stuck emotion that isn't allowed to be felt, experienced, and come to completion, it tends to remain buried in the back of our emotional refrigerator, if you will. The experience is like a container of forgotten food lost way in the back, hidden behind, use this analogy, hidden behind life's fresh, new experiences. And these undigested experiences from our past are the leftovers of our lives, which seem to remain in the emotional corners of our psyche, waiting to be found, eaten, or composted. Now, if we didn't have undigested past emotions trapped inside our bodies, our lives would be blazing with amazing joy and light in all directions. If we discovered and cleaned out all of our leftovers, we would literally feel so pure, free, and clean from the inside out. Many of these unwanted emotional experiences we ignore or forget because they are so traumatizing to deal with. So we push them to the back of the fridge anytime we smell them. They can arise so quickly at any moment in a conversation, watching a movie, or just being alone. And the tendency is often to just suppress it, deal with it later. You ever done that? I'll deal with that later. The challenge here is that life contains a new experience each moment, so we can easily become distracted by the new experiences on our plates and never make time to clean out the old. Suddenly, and I think we all know how fast time goes in these bodies, suddenly years go by. And the last thing we care to do is open up whatever was in that old Tupperware, light, tight-sealed container of rotting leftovers. Perhaps we don't even remember what our leftovers are. Now, the good news is that we don't have to remember right now. We simply make the decision to open up and feel these emotional leftovers the moment they reveal themselves. If and when we want to face them directly, all we need to do is just sit silently in a quiet room by ourselves for a few hours. Soon, we will get a small sniff of one oozing out of its container. We may unconsciously avoid the odor, sight, and thought of an emotional leftover. Cover it up with a sweeter fragrance, or perhaps some of us might be the type that likes to dig into our past memories all the time, reliving the nostalgic yesterday greatest moments. This is like reheating the same batch of old lasagna in the microwave and attempting to dig into it again and again. Even though there may be a few morsels of nutrition in there, it will never be as healing and fulfilling as the fresh organic fruit picked right out of the garden today. Meaning, this present moment is where the life force is truly at. It is not found in the past nor the future. It's all here, right now. If you have not cried, been angry, or felt any emotion for months, it may be time to clean out your emotional refrigerator. I'd advise you to make a compost pile far away from everyone and toss everything out with great catharsis. The full understanding of why these experiences occur in our lives is not necessary, yet will come to us at the right place and time. We don't have to figure out why trauma has happened to us or why we manifested that experience. We just need to clean out the fridge. The past is a dead thing, and we waste precious energy each time we avoid, pretend, or ignore any old rank experience oozing up in us. It was just a little bit of housework. It allows room in our fridge for new experiences like love, joy, sensual aliveness to move in. There is something so very healing, empowering, and liberating about releasing all the pent-up emotions that are buried inside us. You may often wonder if this liberating feeling isn't the main reason why we hold on to them in the first place. The many wonderful results that occur through deep emotional cathartic release, we'll find that over 95% of diseases simply disappear when there is no longer an emotional attachment hooked into our body's memory of certain events. We really have no idea how much joy is possible inside our bodies until we get a whiff of clean air when the emotional garbage has left the building. Now, if you found yourselves becoming triggered by the smallest things in this life, it is a good sign that you have some of your leftovers starting to smell. and you're desperately needing a deep cleaning. It truly depends on the depth of our curiosity, yearning and courage to explore the darkest corners of our emotional fridge, for us to find and toss out our internal leftovers. You can kind of call the golden secret key here is to be patient with your investigation and use every little thing that triggers you in this life as a light bulb to locate the doggy bags that are hidden deep in the past. And we all do that. We all collect through life. Remember, we've talked in these meditations about our subconscious minds. They are the recorder. They literally are. They're like a recorder, and every single thing that you've done or experienced in this life is stored there. And this is where all the stress comes from, right? And we condition ourselves. We get conditioned by society where the majority of us store this stuff. Anger, pain, frustration, disappointment, hatred, and then the good stuff too. But we store it. And I think all of us have had containers, right, in the refrigerator that gets, shoved in. We open it and go, I don't want that, and we shove it in the back, right? And it may be a year goes by, and it's still back there. And we just forget about it. We just, And then it gets to the point where we don't dare open it because we're afraid to see what's in it, what's transpired. So this goes on and on and on and on. Sometimes it bubbles, it comes through. And you might find yourself going, wow, that was really nasty, right? And then we shove it back. Could have been 10 years ago, but we still shove it back in the subconscious closet. But then someday comes along, you ever done this? Someday comes along, and it's like a light comes on and you go, I got to clean that fridge. You're going about and all of a sudden it comes, I got to clean that fridge. And the fridge is your subconscious mind. So you go about cleaning the fridge, taking it out and using baking soda and water and doing the whole thing and cleaning it. You find all, these different containers, Tupperware containers and, takeout containers maybe in the back of the fridge. And you don't even bother to look at them. Just throw them out. Now, some of us will open them. And you see mold, you see all kinds of things growing in them. But we're not afraid. We open them up, we see what's in there, and we work it, and we clean it, and we save the container. But a lot of us will throw the container and everything out and not even take a look at it. As we do this, we clean our subconscious mind. And now, I'm not saying that, it's a sin. But when you go into, like for a couple hours, quiet time for yourself, and you go into this meditation, it's kind of a super releasing meditation for all of the emotional stuff that we store in our subconscious minds. And one might say, well, does that mean that every single thing that, excuse me, that I experience is stored? Yep. Even the tiniest stored. And most of us never do inventory. It's like, why am I carrying this? I don't really care to have this. I don't need it. Yeah, okay, I experienced this and it wasn't pleasant, and so, but it's just baggage that is sitting there in the past. And the past is absolutely dead. It is gone. But yet, see, our ego minds push us in the past. Live in the past, live in the future. Live in the past, live in the future, live in the future, live in the past, so on and so forth. And you can see why so many of us really do become kind of stretched. You know what I mean? Where you can stretch it, you can stretch only so much, and then there's like almost a breaking point. We almost feel stretching, ripping, and you don't dare go any further. And this is why so many of us carry around throughout our lives all this baggage. And why so many of us can't quite figure it out why we feel so heavy at times. And you know, it's not a weight heaviness. It's you feel burdened, right? When people become self-liberated, they release a lot of things. Now, it may not be that was their original intent, but something came, or they subconsciously, unconsciously manifested through the universe. Something came in and it really shook them. And it motivated them to look within. And they said to themselves, I don't really care to carry this stuff anymore. Clear as a bell. So they let it go. They spend a few hours with themselves, uninterrupted, and they just go through it like an inventory on a store shelf. And they just let it go, surrender it. See, that one of the I would say the key, the pinnacle key to all of this is truly, completely understanding without doubt, without fear, without ego mind, that we are the God within the body, not the body. Now, once we come to that full realization, things really change. Because we now know that the body is the storage closet. We store all kinds of things, don't we? We store stress, we store tension, we store fear, anxiety, worry. We store love. A lot of the times we never know how to get that love front and center to understand it. We store all the things that we experience through this life. And we get so caught up, which is not hard to do, right? As the gods we are in physical form. And we get so caught up with the body and the material physical world that the whole time that we're in these bodies, we never discover that we're the God within the body, that we're the pure consciousness, pure divinity, that which does not change, the only thing that does not change. And we create, see, that's the turning point for any civilization, to understand that they're the God in the body. There is no God outside of the body, acting independently. We're all one. We make up the collective consciousness, the pure consciousness. That is so omnipotently powerful that you could literally, in the event that, let's say that 30% of the population on the planet were to become fully clear and understand that they were the God in the body. And they had administered the elimination of ego mind through the mastership of it, through the heart mind. And they would focus in unison on anything. And the focusing, you could literally move solar systems. Pretty nifty, huh? And the civilization, now that 30%, of course, is omnipotently powerful, and it would affect the rest of the civilization. So in eventuality, the transition for the rest of civilization into heart mind, God mind, would transition rapidly, near instantaneously, once the 30% was totally functioning. Now, and those, in that view, that 30% would instantaneously keep youth for the body. Old diseases would be gone permanently. Old stress factors, hatreds and angers and frustrations would be gone. Almost, it's like vaporized instantaneously. See, this isn't just one area. This is the whole shebang. And the phenomenal thing about it is that we're all one. Every one of us, the gods in these bodies, are one. Now you get some people that don't understand the actual configuration of the God. And then they say, well, how can that be? He's making it up. How can you heal yourself? Well, that's been proven thousands of times on this planet. I mean, in anything that's wrong with that ship that you're commanding. You know, if you had a starship, you would make sure that it would be perfect running order, right? You had a lot of places to go, a lot of things to do and see and experience, right? You sure as heck wouldn't just ignore it. And the fact that it's always going to do what it's always going to do, and I'll never have to tend to it. And lo and behold, when we do that, it definitely says, hey, better get over here. Need your attention. How many times do we view ourselves? You know, how many times do we? How many times do we say to ourselves, well, you know, I'm not gonna say or do that because I'm fearful of what, you know, what people will say, right? And most of it is connected and stems from all the subconscious stuff that we've accumulated, and not just this lifetime. And how we've been programmed by other people's thoughts. Gather all courage and take a jump. Even the dewdrop slipping from a lotus leaf trembles because he can see the ocean. Once he has fallen from the lotus leaf, he is gone. Yes, in a way, you will not be. Just as the dewdrop dissolves into the ocean, you will be gone. But it is not a loss. You will be oceanic. And all their oceans are limited. The ocean of existence is unlimited ocean. And this is where we are all as one going. I do believe one of the deepest truths is how deeply and intimately we are connected with each other. We are like one grand ocean of energy consciousness that appears to form itself as separate, individuated droplets of ocean water. Upon seeing the totality of our existence, it is blatantly obvious that we are operating under one energy source together. There is one common goal for all of mankind. This goal is to merge and be unified with the one divine God source. We are here on this planet at this time to experience our true vastness, totally being the all-loving, ever-present cosmic ocean. It is apparent how clinging to any one thought of individuated separation is where all of humanity's feelings of powerlessness, poverty, and suffering begins and ends. A quote by Nisargadatta that says, "Let go of the idea that you are not aware of yourself as the ever-present, changeless, inexpressible reality." And what this means is that we are the ones responsible for creating the illusory experience that we are disconnected. It's an illusion. We all live it. Many believe it. Everything is needed and perfect in our world. Even the wonderful illusion of separation is needed so as later we can create an experience of unification. When we accept our deepest illusions, hardest feelings, most challenging pools of separation, consciousness that we are swimming in, we can one day relax and float downstream, merging back into the great ocean. We are always connected with one omnipresent self. We are this single God source that is weaving its ways through everything and everyone. It's just that the mind gets in the way and wants something, right? It wants to be special, loved, appreciated, and accepted by this world. Most of us don't believe this is in our hearts, and thus unknowingly cling to the known, trying to heal, liberate, or enlighten ourselves through holding to certain thoughts and ways of thinking about this life. When the mind becomes narrowed down any one path for too long, it becomes fixated and tight, like a closed book, and cannot receive the new insights and abundance it could grow into. I find that most enlightening truth we can handle is the one that greatly increases our power, wisdom, inner peace, and manifesting abilities. As we evolve closer to the exotic universal truth of who and what we really are, this universe bestows greater gifts and more beautiful manifestations for us to accept and enjoy. The tricky part is that many of us tend to hold tight onto ideas of the past and the future. What we think we know feels comforting, doesn't it? Especially when we meet with the great ocean of unknowns. Most enlightened and the highest experience we humans can tap into is one that cannot be captured by the mind. Yet it reveals itself naturally and spontaneously when the mind is truly at rest and ease. Like the feeling we might get from a spontaneous breeze on a hot summer day. I think we've all might have experienced that once or twice, right? If we soften our hearts, quiet our minds, and become deeply receptive, we can relax into it and deeply enjoy it. The head alone is not enough. It is too small of a container to take in the outrageous experience of enlightenment. The greatest experiences can only be absorbed with an open heart and soul. When the mind is quiet, something inside of us instantly aligns with this infinite spiritual essence that is inside everything and everyone. When we devote our lives to quieting the mind and opening our hearts to the divine source, we can feel, see, and know our real selves. And one might say, what is our real selves? It is that part of us that feels deeply, intimately connected with everyone and everything. It is so vast that it also has room for the experience that we are small, powerless, separated beings, stuck in small pools of individuated consciousness. Yet, it is so much more. The real self is omnipresent, vast as the endless oceans, extremely bright, beautiful, and stupendously powerful, that it instantly consumes all the other versions we make up of what reality is. Now, there is an awareness, so kind of, I guess you could look at it as a small warning to the beginner on the spiritual path. It can be quite challenging to choose to step out of our old selves and into this experience of being one with the ocean, because everyone around us won't agree or understand what we're going through. We've learned to lean on this society for an understanding of who and what we are. Collectively, we humans have spent the past 2,000 plus years attempting to reconnect with this oneness through religion, because we have completely forgotten that we are already permanently connected to the God source. We have spiritual amnesia caused by a societal mind that was buried under the illusion that we are like swine, when in truth we are divine. Seeing through this great misunderstanding, we can be liberated from our collective consciousness. We can be free from all suffering, just like how the great masters have done through the ages. This collective awakening is part of the greater plan for our planet's spiritual evolution. And as long as this belief in separation is the main way our society operates, we must choose to rebel against the norm if we are ever to find spiritual freedom. The belief system that we are not one being is the main reason why there is still war, poverty, environmental destruction on this planet. There still remains a belief that we are disconnected. This belief is always being projected, emanating from everybody's mind around us. What everyone believes we are most likely becomes what we believe is true as well. it's safe to say that every single person we have met in this life has been overly identified with this idea of separate self-ego, and most likely will fight for upholding the belief in our separation until the very end. It takes a very, very, very clear mind, a courageous heart, and a determined soul to break free from the matrix of illusions this society is casting over our eyes. Observe the mind when thoughts come. Ask, to whom do these thoughts come to? And always watch, witness, and observe. Do not get caught in the thought. Just surrender. Robert Adams. To be free from societal programming, we must choose first to be free from our egos. For our egos to even exist at all, it must hold firm onto some belief in its separate nature. Now, if and when this doesn't do this, it will feel very lost, confused, and afraid, and eventually give up. The ego must believe that it is a separate somebody rather than an omnipresent nobody. It's been trained to believe it is a drop of water and not the entire ocean as well. This individuated approach to this life has a great payoff of creating a feeling of power, control, and direction in this life. Without the ego, we might believe that all of our outcomes and manifestations show up because we are the universe, and the universe is making everything happen. Without the ego, we would only have a feeling of love, abundance, true empowerment, and real inner peace in this life. The greatest truth that we can find is going to be the one that liberates us from this limited, contracted mind and ego. The truth that frees our spirit is the one that brings forth the deepest feeling of joy into the lives of everyone around us. And this truth is found from intimately knowing our real selves, our permanent, unbounded, infinite, spiritual nature. Only from exploring what it feels like to be at one with the ocean of life can we be free. This exploration is what leads us to find full self-realization and true liberation in the end. Relax into this idea and feeling that you are separate from the universe right now. Okay? Rest deeply into the feeling that you are not at the core of the God source right now. Start with becoming very curious about this idea. Feel into it. What it actually means until you make friends with it. The goal will be to let yourself completely melt into the feeling of separation and have zero resistance to it. Now, with a little practice, we might discover what it's like to be connected within our experience of separation. The most healing, loving, magical, empowering source in this universe is in everything. So it's also in this experience of separation. The more we can relax into it, the more we open our hearts and quiet our minds to find that the experience of deep separation dissolves itself naturally on its own accord. Within the core of separation, we will discover the most profound, powerful, unstoppable, and intimate direct connection to this pure channel of intelligent conscious energy that breathes our very core. So we dive into the deepest root of all of our problems, faults, self-criticisms, and personal issues. These are where we feel the most separate and disturbed. Don't wait until it's the right time to do it. Just relax into them every day, whenever and wherever you are. Make it the number one priority of your life to find this loving divine connection that is already here. Trust that it is already here, even if you cannot find it right away. Act as if you are being held by a newborn baby in the most loving, caring mother's arms. Be simply resting into this feeling of separation, and you will make amazing progress on your spiritual path in a matter of minutes. You are the Supreme Being, and yet thinking yourself to be separate from it, you strive to become united with it. What is stranger than this, Ramana Maharishi? We are all supreme beings, and yet we think of ourselves to be separate from it. We strive to become united with it. And we are it. And we're striving to become it. When one begins their spiritual path, there is this feeling that who we are is more unreal than real. And what I mean by this is that it can be shocking to discover that what we thought we were our entire lives, maybe many lives, is not real. We truly have no clue as to who and what we really are. We are that which is beyond what the mind can understand. We are like the infinite edges of the most massive movie screen you can imagine, which has no end to the colorful creative possibilities it can contain. Our freedom comes from knowing our indefinable nature. When we realize that we are more like a blank, multi-dimensional creative canvas and not all the scenes and stories from the grand film, something inside of us feels very vast and very free. Sit back. Take a good look at your lives. Take one evening to investigate all the wonderful, horrific, typical, unusual, and peak states from your life. Notice if they sum up everything about who and what you are. Is there anything more than this? Ask yourselves, what is my real self? Who am I without all these experiences? Do I still exist without these memories? And if so, what exactly is that? Our real self is beyond the greatest mystery anyone could explore. We are much more amazing and magical than this separated mind ego. We are bigger than all the life experiences that are projected onto us and into us. We are also much more than the pure witness, awareness, and consciousness. We are the totality of it all. We are that which life gets to play, dance, and sing, all of itself true. The separate, limited, suffering self is a comfortable habit, one that can be dropped by simply knowing how to stop identifying with it. Neither its essence nor its content. You are the timeless source, the supreme reality. Trust that. Nisargadatta. I join in a meditation, and I will return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath in through the nose, and an easy and slow breath out of the mouth. Now, we all, at times, can have a good laugh, right? And we've got to think this life is hilarious in some way. Small part of us must be laughing crazily at it all, saying, oh my God, holy cow, wow, whoa, what a ride. Perhaps it's time to say thank you. Tell the universe to bring it on, you laughing Jedi. We must choose to always begin life in the here and now. This moment is truly inescapable. Every time we try to escape from the now, we suffer. It is a constant. Every time any of us try to escape from the now, we suffer and are immediately tossed back into it with the feeling that we've had some significant or insignificant experience of a past or future event. And we call that fun. I don't call it fun. I don't think any of us do. Always remember, be here now, because you are. Stop believing in who you think you are, and just take 1 hour today to do nothing. Just relax into your bodies and be with whatever energy arises during this time. See what all is happening inside you today. Relax, rest. Give yourself permission to do absolutely nothing. And very soon, you will discover something truly amazing. The awesome divine being who you really are. Take this with you for the rest of the day, into the evening and night, the following morning. And we will return here January 11th, 2023, 3 p.m. Eastern, to continue our global guided meditation call, 9 p.m. Eastern, to continue our time for change call. Love yourself. Be good to yourself. Stay in deep gratitude 24/7.